Ordinarily, in a relationship, one of the two people is less interested in cars than the other, and one reins in the other's interest in cars. Well, in this instance, I've come here to a beautiful part of Leicestershire where the two people involved are as bonkers about cars as one another. So they've both got the disease. And that's why I wanted to show you what's behind these doors here, because she's really into British cars and has got really wide variety of taste. He's into, well, all manner of things, Italian, German, stuff like that. But rest assured, there's something for everyone here, and that's what I like about it. So this is a Car Cave episode of The Late Break Show, and I'm Jonny Smith. Ali, Adam, first of all, thanks for inviting me to your car den.
Very welcome.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And before we delve into like your individual cars and your individual cars, I wanted to just get an idea of like how this whole, I am going to say disease, came about. How you guys got into cars, because you got into cars in probably different ways, I suspect.
Yeah, I think we've both been sort of petrol heads from an early age. Ali used to race grass track minis. I've raced numerous cars. Started off in motorcycles. Hurt myself just a little bit too much, then decided to go into four wheels. I've always had a passion for cars. I used to have a haulage business, which it's still things on four wheels that eat fuel. And me and Alison got together 2022. We met each other and bought this house. More importantly, we bought this barn that was attached to the house.
The barn, yeah. The
barn, and then we just set about filling it. We'd already got a fair few cars, but we sort of set about filling it. Then we filled it and then put 3 double ramps in and filled it some more. And we are where we are today. So that's sort of us in a nutshell. But as regards to disease, normally you would expect your partner to pull on the reins and hold you back a little bit, but there's none of that with Ali. It's like, oh yeah, that's great, let's buy that.
Oh, that's what I said in the intro. Yeah.
So he'll send me a link to something and I'll say, what do you think about this? And I'll be like, that's really interesting. Did you know this? Or that looks really fantastic. Or actually, I don't like the colour, but that's actually a really great example. That looks in really good nick. The engine bay is really tidy or whatever. Then we'll go and have a look at it, and then it usually ends up joining the collection. So we normally egg each other on a little bit too much, maybe. So
yeah.
There's no reining in.
There's no reining in.
Who is the worst?
He's the worst.
Me.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely the worst.
Okay.
It is definitely me. It is definitely me. The collection features quite a few pub purchases. Sometimes Ali's been with me, sometimes not. Features quite a few surprise purchases.
Yeah.
Sometimes
when I come home and go, I've just bought this. But she's never anything but pleased. Never anything but pleased. We
did try once and said, right, we're not going to buy a car for 6 months. We've just bought the house. We're going to get the house sorted. We're not going to buy a car for 6 months. And then the Diablo happened.
The Diablo, of all cars, just accidentally might have bought a Diablo.
Yeah.
Yes, well, once in a lifetime, isn't it?
But this is why I wanted to show your car cave on camera, because we'll start the tour in a sec. It's the sheer variety. I mean, you start over there with Minis and Volvo Amazons, and you come all the way around to modern day supercars, and it's just, and there's everything in between. And there is another barn over there somewhere with some bits, and we'll come around to that.
Before we delve into this video, you might be wondering what Carly is. Well, Carly is a diagnostic scanning tool which allows you to view your car's control system and also diagnose any issues to do with your car's health. And it looks like this. It plugs into your OBD2 port, which is usually located under the dashboard, sometimes in the glove box on your car, and it works via Bluetooth to your phone. So you then have to download the Carly app to your phone, and then you can kick things off. Okay, I've plugged the Carly in down there. The blue light's flashing, which means on the app it's communicating via Bluetooth. This is an Audi RS3 from 2015. It's not mine, sadly. It's owned by Jessie, an Instagrammer called What She Drives. And Jessie's car here sounds like this. Sweet. So besides diagnosing any problems with the car and deciding whether you can clear the codes yourself, or whether you can diagnose those problems yourself or take the car to the garage and tell them what the problem is specifically. You can also unlock special features, which are sometimes features on this particular car for different markets, or in the case of certain software, you know, a lower ranking car might be able to get options that you can't normally get on that car unless you've paid for them. Diagnostics, analyze and repair car issues. Health status, very bad, 3 issues found. Smart mechanic available. Engine, 2 issues. Severe issues. Acceleration monitoring control limit exceeded. P150B00. I don't actually know what that is, but I should be able to go into this and use the smart mechanic to be able to help me understand what the hell that means and whether it is serious and how it can be repaired. Or if it's nothing to worry about and can be cleared. Carly also gives you the option to check a car's history for free. This includes the number of previous owners, the last driver change, the mileage during various intervals that can be cross-referenced to detect manipulation, any finance or recorded damage history, and also its MOT history. This is all helpful intel when buying a used vehicle. Carly should work with most cars that have an OBD2 port, but if you're unsure of the compatibility, go to mycarly.com and have a look for yourself before you buy. And talking of buying, if you'd like a 15% discount off your Carly, use this code TLBS, capital letters TLBS, standing for the Late Break Show. Thank you.
Now, when we first walked in here, I was actually looking more at the backside of the Mustang, and I was looking at the backside of the Aston there. And I'm almost offended at the fact that I didn't look very closely at a bloody Diablo.
Missed it, yeah.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about how this came about.
It's an incredible car. A good friend of mine, Mark Palmer, owns the Supercar rooms in Kidderminster. Plug for you, Mark, so you owe me one. And he rang me to see if I knew anybody who might be interested in a car that got coming into stock. And I said, I'll ask about it. I've got a lot of friends with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And I asked about a couple. Then I got to look at the pictures and I thought, that's actually really, really nice. And it wasn't on my radar.
I was going to say, you said off camera that you weren't particularly a Lambo person.
Not really. I've always been a Ferrari person, I think. But as the two brands that have grown on me, or not grown on me throughout the years, and particularly Ferrari, I think they've gone down a route that I'm not particularly that impressed with. I think, yes, Lamborghinis are for show and that, but I think generally there's a better attitude towards Lamborghinis. They're a bit more special. They're dynamically, they're not as good as Ferraris. I don't think there's any question. In my opinion, I don't think dynamically they're as good as Ferraris, but I think there's just something about them. They're very special. The deal was with Mark. I says, can I drive it? And he went, yeah, come and drive it. I says, because I need to know. I drive my cars. I need to know that it doesn't drive like the Countach reputedly does, and I won't want it. Yeah. So I drove it. He looked at my face, and it's in my garage, so it drives actually really quite well.
I do like this about you and Ali, that everything in here has to be used.
Yeah.
You don't just, I mean, you do park it and look at it, but that's only part of the deal.
Yeah.
It has to be used.
Absolutely. Every car in here we've either took to a show or took it somewhere, or there's a story behind it, or every single car in here does get used. Probably with the exception of the Amazon up the top. That's a weight in a proper engine. But yeah, we like to drive our cars.
What model is this?
It's an SV. It's a 1997 SV. It was the last car before they went to a 6 litre. So it's a 5.7 litre V12.
Goodness me.
And it's just an epic bit of kit.
Let's talk, because we've done a car cave before of a guy who said, Michael, we were talking about him earlier,
Yes,
because he
yes.
has the DB5.
Yes.
And he had one of these.
A lovely one, a black one with cream interior, if I remember right.
Yes, he had one of these, and he said, I'm not really a Ferrari guy, but I love these.
Yeah.
So why one of these?
Again, it was a car I've always wanted. And this came up on a website, auction site, again this year. Just sat in a pub with a friend of mine.
I knew you were going to say this.
Yeah, we actually bought it. We actually ended up buying it between us.
Okay.
Just done in and looked at it. It's a 575. It's an F1. If I was to be chasing an investment car, you would buy a 575 manual.
Yeah.
Is the investment car, and then you'd probably buy a 550 manual. But this was a lot less money than either of them. It was silly money. It was silly cheap at the time.
Was it really?
Yeah.
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 Because I think these are still great looking cars.
I think they're great cars, and I think they're great value for money.
Yeah.
They really are, and it just drives lovely.
Does it?
It's just had the belt service and everything on it, and it just drives really nice.
Your Ferrari life, you have had Ferraris before. There is one up there under the sheet.
Yeah, a friend of mine. Yeah,
which is not your car, is it?
yeah,
That particular
yeah.
one?
He just leaves that there to just tease me because that's a challenge Stradale.
So we've gone. It's a bit of a sort of Lamborghini sandwich.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's an Italian sandwich.
I love the fact that you and Ali have got so many different eras of cars.
Yeah.
Some people just collect marks of cars. You know, they're just an Aston person or a BMW person. You guys are not mark specific, and you're not era specific.
No, it sort of happened by accident, and it's something that only dawned on me a couple of days ago. And was writing a list of the cars because I thought you might want the list of what's actually in here.
Yeah.
And I wrote the list and arranged it into date order, and we've got 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 2010, 2020. So it sort of shows that we've both been into cars our entire lives. And
Do you work in the automotive industry?
yes, yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I've got a driving experience company.
Right.
So we obviously run a lot of supercars. People come and drive supercars and stuff like that. I was a haulier by trade.
Yeah.
We operate in Scotland and Ireland. And it's just a nice business to be in because people are generally happy. The staff are happy because they're around supercars and whatnot. Customers are happy, again, because they're driving supercars. So it's from where I've come from for an industry where everybody's a bit grumpy and it's a day-to-day job and everything's just in time to go into an industry where everybody's smiling and happy and generally.
It's special. You're dealing with special stuff,
Yeah,
aren't you?
that's the cars on the back. Those are some of the work cars, and yeah, it's just something a bit unusual, a bit different. Yes, it is the best job in the world.
Cool.
I'm very lucky. We're both very lucky in that respect.
So talk about this. Why is the Aventador in here?
Yeah, it's one of those cars I'd always I'd never driven one.
Yeah.
I'd never driven one. We've all heard them on the internet. And again, it was an internet purchase a couple of years ago or so now. It was Dayglow orange wrap when I had it.
Wow.
I took it back to standard. It's had bits of paint done on it to bring it back absolutely perfect. But yeah, the previous owner, it had got a different exhaust on it. And literally when it's warm, it literally sounds like a 1990s Formula 1 car. I've never heard anything like it. It's ridiculous, it really is.
I'm stood here because this is my favourite angle, actually. I think this is one of the best looking Lamborghinis.
I just think it's a phenomenal looking thing.
It's all the hexagons going on with the glass engine cover here that's tiered and this divide here between the back end and the roof. And
it's almost too much, but it works. And it's just...
Lambos have to be too much.
Yes.
That's their sort of job.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they do.
I love the fact that, I mean, these two are never going to drive similar because there's so much...
No.
This is
chalk and cheese.
This is very Italian-owned Lambo. This is very German-owned.
Yes, 100%.
What I like about this car here is actually this car led to that car in the corner, which when you first sent me some pictures of this car cave, you and Ali, it was several cars and I went, well, these people are clearly special car people. The story between that Lambo,
Yeah.
the Aventador, and this? How did it lead to this?
Yeah, there's a connection. I took the Lamborghini to have a couple of bits of paint corrected at a place up at Ilkeston that we always use. And the guy up there, I was chatting to the guy, dropping the Lamborghini off.
Yeah.
Just chatting to me. He says, "Oh, come to our shop." He said, "We've just finished restoring an Interceptor." And he knows I like all cars, but he knows I like the older stuff as well.
Yeah.
So walking across towards his other shop, and this is outside, parked outside, wet, clean, but wet. And I'm like, "Oh, Monza GSE." He said, "Oh, do you like those?" I was like, "Yeah, I love them. My dad used to have one, and my dad had one brand new, 1983 or 82.
Oh, new?
Yeah, brand new. My dad had one brand new,
Cool.
which brought about my love of Opels generally and Monzas.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm selling it. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm selling it. And as you see, he's got non-standard wheels, and he's like, I've got the original wheels. It's all original.
I love the wheels.
Yeah, Borbet.
Love the Borbets.
Very, very much of their time.
It suits this car so well.
Very much of their time. Got an Ermshire wheel, which I spent a lot of time at a place called Steve Thompson Vauxhall in Warsaw, which was near where I used to work, and he was an Ermshire dealer. They did all the spoilers and bits of it. Anyway, so
80s.
Yeah, the guy was selling the car, and I went, okay, yeah, I'll have it, and that was it done. And that was during a period we hadn't long bought this house, and we'd had sort of an informal agreement, me and Ali, that we wouldn't buy any cars until all the barn was done and ramps and no more cars. So I went home and I know we had an agreement, but I've bought another car. And she sort of rolled her eyes and went, "What you bought?" I said, "An Opel Monza GSC." And she was like, oh my God, I love Monzas and the great. And it was that's how easy it was. If I could have had a Monza, any Monza, it would have been great. But getting the GSC version was even better. And hopefully I'll get to show it to my dad. And perhaps even give it to my dad before this comes out, before the episode comes out.
That's a cool idea.
But he would love this. He would really love this. But
yeah.
He's got a double garage, which has got two cars in, so he'd have to be getting rid of something. But I just think it's a really cool thing, and they just drive so well.
They're rare groove cars. I was not expecting, if I saw you and saw the other cars that you had, I would never have assumed that you would be into Monza GSCs, but that's what makes this so cool.
Yeah.
And I actually did a barn find on one of these a couple of years ago now, and I was amazed at the popularity or the intrigue of that car. So the disease has worsened because you've bought ramps.
Yeah.
I've always wondered whether or not this is the beginning of the end when you start stacking cars.
Yeah.
But this thing up above our heads here,
Yeah.
the SL, you're really fond of this.
Yes, I love it. I absolutely love this car.
This is one of your top 3 cars that you have, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
definitely not one of the most expensive.
No. If you said to me 3 cars out of this, that you can only have 3 of them, that would be one of them.
Wow, that's brilliant.
The Mustang being another.
Yeah.
And my M3 track car being the third one. Got a bit of everything then.
M3 track car, you say?
Yeah.
Where does this live?
It's hiding. A secret door, just at the back there's a secret door. And
Is that a door?
It's lurking. Yeah, that's a door in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a quick look at that. Now, Ali, in the intro, I said that you were into British cars, and you are, clearly. But it's also doing you a bit of a disservice because you have a much broader appreciation of cars than just British cars.
Absolutely.
And where does it start?
I think it started with the iconic Mini. I think back when I was in Northampton, kind of grass track racing, I bought 3 scrap Minis, built a road car and my track car from kind of the best of those kind of bits. And it kind of started from there. I've always been interested to know how things work. I wanted to know how a car worked before I learned to drive it, and basically I'd rebuilt a couple of cars by the time I'd actually passed my tests, so I was already kind of well on that route of it. And for me, the Mini's iconic in so many ways, and we'll probably talk a lot more about that as we look at the Minis, but also classic British. You don't get more classic than an Aston Martin, and it had always been a dream of mine to one day have an Aston, hankering after those kind of spy days, I suppose. But when I finally got the opportunity to purchase my Aston from brand new, it was honestly, it was life-changing. You know, it was like, I've done it, I've finally done it. And you know, mine's the first name on the logbook of the F1 edition. I made Nottingham Aston Martin put a big red bow on it, and they were like, "We're Aston Martin, we don't do bows." I'm like, I'm buying a brand new Aston Martin. I'm never ever going to buy a brand new Aston Martin again. I want a big red bow. And do you know what? They put a big red bow on it.
This is wild. So you spec this?
So I spec this, yeah. So I went in just to buy, well, to look at Aston Martins. And so I was literally going to go and buy just a standard Vantage and spec that up. But then I was talking to lovely little Gerald at Aston Martin Nottingham, and he was like, "Oh, have you seen the F1 edition that we're just about to launch?"
Yeah.
And being a massive race fan, it literally just started there, and they did it in either the black or the green, the Aston Martin green that you'll see on all the safety cars, and either the satin or the gloss paint. Now, as you'll notice, a lot of my cars are black. I'm a big black fan.
Yeah.
So for me, it was an easy choice, really. And then picking out the red line interior to go with the F1 badge and the red brake calipers. Diamond cut alloys just to kind of make them pop out a bit more, really, so it wasn't too much black. And I love it, and it's really popular at the car shows with the kids. They're like, "Oh, it's Batman's car." It's a real crowd pleaser. It's so much fun to drive, and first Aston Martin, and I've kind of never really looked back.
Oh, it's wild, Ali. It's wild. It is a Batmobile, really, when you look at it like that. It's great. This is nothing like an Aston Martin, is it?
Absolutely
this is what
nothing.
I like about your tastes.
Absolutely
you
nothing. But this is probably the car that was instrumental in starting all of this, really, and certainly instrumental in mine and Adam's relationship. When we first kind of met and we were talking, I had the Aston, and we talked about, you know, our dream cars and what we liked. And I'd always hankered after another classic Mini, having previously sold my classic Mini when I was pregnant. I was doing all the responsible, sensible car thing.
Yeah.
And over 20 or 30 different conversations over a period of months, we talked about what my ideal Mini would be, with the white roof and the bonnet stripes and the rally headlights, the 1275 GT engine, straight pipe exhaust, flared arches, split rim Mini light alloys, that kind of thing. and
then, how you want it.
And then literally one day, Ad says to me, "Look, this is probably make or break. You're either going to run a mile because you think I'm mental, or actually you're going to really love it." And he popped the garage door on his garage, and here was Indy.
He built it. He'd had it built.
He'd found most of it. Most of it was kind of exactly as I wanted it, and he'd done quite a few bits and pieces, as well as obviously servicing it and making sure it ran properly. So he did quite a few little bits to it. But the detail, like I was born in October '74, so the tax disc that reflects the year that I was born and the month that I was born. The fact that the interior, the roof, the colour combination, everything was exactly as I'd kind of spec'd it. Honestly, there was nothing I could fault about this car. And for me, it was the fact that as a man, he literally listened to lots of conversations.
Don't know what you mean.
And yeah, how could you not fall in love with a man with that attention to detail? You know, so Indy was probably the thing that kind of that really swayed
your.
It. Definitely.
This is great.
And I think at the time, much like I was constantly looking for a 74 Mini, because I did want a classic that was the same age as me, and it wasn't till January this year that I finally found one, which is hidden over in the back corner over there.
Oh, so that is a 74.
So that is a 74. That is the same age as me. That's GOG. Absolutely love it. Starts first time every time.
So you've got a Mini Cooper S, modern Mini Cooper S, or was that 20 years old now? It's not that modern.
Yes, I got R53. That's my track car,
Yeah.
Scully. I've got an F60 Countryman. That was my kind of daily car. That's now my dog car for the Malamutes. I've got Indy. I've got GOG. And I've got my next project car, which is a 75 club and front end convertible. A lot more rust than I'd originally anticipated, but will become an interesting project, I think. So yeah, I've got 5 in total, and that's not including the tattoo.
Oh my gosh. Also, I want to mention about the dogs. That's why there's no passenger seat in this Mini. It's not because it was missing one, it's because you took it out, because you can't transport your dogs without taking the passenger seat out?
Yes.
Because you have the biggest dogs in the world.
I do have some very large dogs, and I love to. Dogs are super sociable. I love to take them to car shows, particularly in the summer, and particularly when it's nice, open, open outside events. So in order to get both my Malamutes in the car, we took out the front passenger seat, and I had one on the back seat and one literally in the front passenger footwell, just so I could physically transport them.
The dogs are about the same length as the Mini. Black car, very Japanese.
Very Japanese. So again, as a story behind this one, my daughter is very much into her Jap cars.
Is she?
She has Bob the Subaru, and she's super into the car scene. And one day she was trying to explain to me about the difference between an R33 and an R32 and various bits, and it was all a little bit lost on me. And she said, "You just don't understand the Jap car scene, Mum." And I was like, "I had a Jap car before you were even born." She was like, "Well, what was it?" And I said, "Well, it's a Nissan Pulsar GTIR."
Yeah.
And she said, "What's that?" And I showed her, and she was like, "Well, actually, that's quite cool."
It's not just quite cool, Ali.
It's super cool. And I'd forgotten how cool. I have to admit, I had forgotten how cool. So when I was 23, I owned almost this exact car.
Did you?
Almost this exact car, like down to the wheels, colour, interior, everything. And I decided to be sensible when I was buying a house and getting married and thinking about the whole kids thing. And I got rid of it. And I regret that so much because it was such a fun car to drive. And it was, at the time, it was a bit of a sleeper. Not a lot of people knew what they were. Yeah. There was a lot of people, a lot of lads out around town in their souped up, I'm not going to mention cars, I don't want to upset anyone.
No.
They're certain souped up cars. And then this would come along. And as a four-wheel drive 2-litre turbo, it just wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, these were rapid.
Nobody knew what it was. So I had so much fun with it. And again, my amazing partner, after these various conversations with my daughter, found one, was in a bit of a mess, has done a lot, like not just the machine polishing of the paintwork, but stripping the interior and various repairs and under the bonnet as well. Yeah. My daughter got me out the house one Christmas, and then Christmas morning opened up the garage and there it sat. So, and so much fun. I know I'm a 50-year-old woman, but I drive this car and I feel like I'm 23 again. It's so much fun. The sound it makes with the turbo, the way it sucks in the air and the turbo dump valve, it's phenomenal. And as you say, quite rare. I
can't remember the last time I saw one, genuinely. This was like the Skyline gateway drug.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And I remember that being such a prominent thing. If you saw this vent, if you clocked that vent, you knew, don't mess with this Sunny. This is not going to be driven by an old person.
Absolutely.
Of which lots of Sunnies were. Because they were good cars.
My gran included, she had a Sunny.
Yeah, this is not an OAP Sunny.
No.
No. I love it. I think it's great. I saw the white letter BF Goodrich radial TAs.
Yep.
I've just put a set of those tyres on my Dodge.
Cool.
And then I saw the badge. Is this a real GT?
Yeah, it's an original matching numbers 390 GT.
Is it?
4-speed manual. Yeah.
And I saw the white ball and I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Hurst shifter.
Hurst shifter. Yeah. It's I can't take credit for it. It was a car that I saw on an internet forum, and I've gone with a few friends. The guy built it, brought it over from California, spent 9 years. He does all restorations and that. I think he spent about 9 years slowly restoring it and bringing it back to new. A lot of the stuff on this car is brand new. Everything was rebuilt.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it's very good. And he decided I said to him, if you ever sell it, I'd be interested. And he contacted me and said, I'm selling the Mustang. This was in 2020 in lockdown. And I had to sell some other cars to ensure my business survived and all the rest of it. Yeah. I was like, oh, Leo, I just can't do it. Yeah. So I said, okay. And there's another guy who wanted it as well, named Terry, that he sold it to, and I know Terry anyway. And I sent Terry a message, and I went, if you do ever sell it in the future, let me know, and if I'm in a position, I'd be interested. So
yeah. Here we are.
Terry chose to sell it, and I bought it, and yeah, that was that. It's just a stunning thing.
This isn't standard though, is it?
No.
Because it seems to sit a bit more squat.
Yeah, the stance on it's awesome. Purists would say those are not the right wheels, and they should be the, I think, thrust wheels, I call them, that were on the Bullet car.
The torque thrust, yeah.
Torque thrust.
I like it on the Mini Light.
I do.
Type wheels.
I just think he got the look of the car absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on different suspension, so he was able to get the stance just right. It's on different brakes, so it actually stops.
Yeah. Before we started filming, Adam casually mentioned when it was out there quite recently, it just caught fire, which is not something you casually say. And then you said you've since converted it to injection.
It's fuel injection now, it's improved the car massively. I did think initially, it's like, oh, well, it's the originality of the car, and the car should have a carburetor on it, but the car isn't original. It's a gentle sort of rest-down mod, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to improve the car a little bit further.
But it's very gentle. I mean, I've looked inside it, and we'll show you under the bonnet. It's really, really pretty. Pretty, very, very pretty. This.
Yeah, it is. It's a classic piece of, well, I think it'll be recognised as a classic piece of Aston design in the future. Yeah. This particular car, I've had it some years now. It's got quite an interesting history.
Talk to me.
Yeah, it's a Cat D. So it was at some point in its life before I had the car. It was a write-off.
Okay.
And then I brought it for use within my business, doing driving experiences. And it's literally a couple of weeks ago, it's been retired. For no other reason than I like to move on, and we've got the newer shaped, same shaped Aston, not that one, but we've got another one, a blue Roadster that we now use. But this is it's quite a special car. It's an N400, the Nurburgring edition. Sounds great. It's currently riding on DBS wheels, 20-inch DBS wheels. It should be 19, but I've got the original 19. It's got the original wheels.
And it's got 3 pedals.
It's got 3 pedals.
Just noticed.
It's got 3 pedals.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's a manual. So as we spoke about earlier, if you're going to put some money into a car, and which one would you have, irrespective of what you have? If it's got 3 pedals, it's probably going to be the one to buy.
I think so. As time moves on.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm sort of of a mindset, with all these cars as well, I'm sort of a mindset, would I rather own 5 cars and 2 of them are Cat D and perhaps slightly higher mileage, but I can use them, I haven't got to be scared of using them.
Yeah.
Or would I rather have one, say, 150 grand Range Rover that I'm absolutely scared to death to use, or would I rather have 5 cars that I enjoy owning and I can actually use?
You're speaking my language.
I'd rather do the latter. I'd rather have something that's a Cat D. I would defy anyone, including a mechanic, to look at that car and go, yeah, that's a Cat D because it's been repaired here, because we couldn't find anything.
Couldn't you?
No, it could have been stolen and recovered though, and this is the thing.
But it's been reliable.
It's been utterly reliable.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it looks really cool.
It's good.
It's a well-proportioned car.
It's good.
And talking of good proportions,
yeah,
the classic. I mean, I had a little look round this one before while Phil, the videographer, was setting up.
Yeah.
You popped the bonnet on it.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, it's good. It's got to have been restored, surely.
Yes, yeah, it's had a restoration over the last few years. I'd been looking for one for some time. This is another sort of pub purchase.
Right.
I'd been looking for one for a while, and this was owned by a friend of mine who I bought the 575 with, and he asked him, he knew he got this car, and he said, would you, Andy's name, he says, would you be interested in selling the car? And Andy said no. So that was that. And a few months ago, Andy approached Tom and says, are you interested in the Range Rover? So we decided to purchase said Range Rover. I didn't really expect it to be as good as it is, I'll be honest. Like all the bumper overriders have been changed and the grille looks like everything on it. There's nothing.
It's good.
You know, when you wash your car and you find all the little bits, I couldn't find any little bits. It's really, really good. It's really good.
It's glorious.
And it's got the gun cabinet in the back, with the whiskey and the port and all that. And so if you wanted to go shooting, I'm not into shooting, Alison is, but yeah, if you want to go shooting, it'd be the perfect shooting car.
Gun cabinet,
Yeah.
optional,
Yeah,
nice.
probably
Yeah.
fits in with the house and fits in with the whole country theme, really. Yeah.
If you haven't already, I'd love you to subscribe to the Late Break Show. If you haven't, I'm either going to send some dogs round, or I'll send somebody around in this Range Rover with these tools. It's not a threat. It's just a mild threat. Now, where are we going to go from here? Should we go up? Let's go up.
850?
Yeah, so you've got, I mean, you've got a couple of BMWs.
Yes.
You're into your track driving. You said you've track driven for many years.
Yeah. I used to race a BMW for many years.
Okay.
That one on the wall there.
Okay.
M3 GTR.
Oh, that, yeah.
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 That was my race car.
That's pretty cool. So this is not that. This is not a
No.
race car. What made you go for the 8?
Again, it's a one thing, and once we got the room, we got these ramps in, and then it was a case of me looking, and I just thought, what cars over the years have I really sort of coveted, and what do I really like, and that come for sale on one of the auction sites, but it was specifically the V12 I wanted, because again, I think it's lovely to drive. It's a V12 BMW. What's not to like?
It's got pop-up headlights at the end of the day.
Pop-up headlights.
People seem to. What's going on
There's
with?
no more to say.
I mean,
Pop-up
like,
headlights. Where have they gone?
yeah.
What's happened to them?
Well, and this BM here. So I didn't know at first that this was a touring, but it is a touring.
That's quite a rare car. I think that they made 222 M5 Tourings, V10 engine, obviously. It's got probably the most comfortable sports seats I've ever sat in my life.
Really?
It's the ones that squeeze you as you go around the corner.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Which I switched that off because I find it a bit irritating. But the seats themselves are really comfortable. So it's got the best seats and possibly the worst gearbox in any car I've ever driven. It's that bad.
Did you hear that, Chris Harris? Yes.
It's that bad. It's funny. That's how bad it is.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Now this
project.
is. So this, you were saying this is your project. So you have over in the barn next door, the actual barn, a donor.
T5, yeah.
And you're going to transplant the drivetrain into that.
Yes.
What a great idea.
Have the suspension redone, probably air suspension, because it'll just be easier, I think. I think it's going to be very hard to get anything like a coilover for that car. And then, transplant the T5 engine out of that car. Into that, and then I'll just have a really, really nice interior in keeping with its age.
Yeah.
It's got a painted dash, which I think is lovely. It's a metal painted dash with all the switches set in it.
Yeah.
Seats are pretty horrific, so we'll have to sort those out. And I just want to make it like a bit of a sleeper.
So to a lot of people, this alone would be like holy grail bucket list car.
Yeah.
And it does look so good in black, next to the Pulsar actually.
Yeah.
With their bonnet vents.
Rally homologation specials, but it's one of those cars that I wanted when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to buy, and there was never the right time. I'd either spent money on other stuff, or the right car wasn't available at the right time, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
And again, just browsing, this came up, and it's had a complete underbody restoration, under bonnet restoration. It's under the bonnet and under the body. The body's really good. The interior's bone standard, completely standard.
Yeah.
Couple of bits of Moretti. I like the Moretti headlights. I like the wheels, the Rondel or something like that.
I like the headlights. I always like the.
They're supposed to be fairly rare now.
Yeah.
So from where everybody got Rondel wanted the standard headlights. Apparently they're now quite sought after.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just like the look of the car and the stance, and it's one of them cars. Who doesn't want a RS Cosworth Escort or Sierra? I think every petrolhead at one time or another is going to want to have one of these cars.
It's the rally provenance as well.
Yes,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah. Right, you said there's a car behind the secret door.
Yes.
Can we have a look in there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll follow you through the...
Well, I don't know if it needs a secret knock or anything, or...
No, I'm sure we'll be able to get in.
Open sesame.
We'll have to sort of... Okay.
Is it this way, is it?
Come this side.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's one of the keepers.
Goodness me. So this is this road legal? Is this a
Yep.
track? This is your track thing.
That's road legal. This is my M3, E92 M3.
This is great. So caged, Sparcos,
Yeah, cage, sparker,
carbon.
Yeah, everything's carbon, lightweight doors, carbon. Took the central double bubble, so it's got a single dash, no infotainment system in it at all. Yeah, it's been a labour of love over the last 3 or 4 years. I think I bought it back in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And just continued to spend it as I went along. At the Nurburgring on the main straight, Dutch into Hull, it's gone 204 on there, which is a big speed for an M3. And it's stable at that, it's completely stable.
It's a big speed, full stop. But like you said, yeah, I mean, wow. Power?
It's supercharged, so it's 638 brake, so it's got a lot of power.
I never tire of seeing a Cobra because they're just so gorgeous.
They are. They're iconic, and I think lots of our cars make people smile, but this probably as much, if not more, than the others. Whenever you take it out, people just want to smile. They want to come talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And usually, as I'm sure you know, you hear them before you see them.
You do.
So and this is no exception. This is one of the few cars I had prior to Ad and I getting together.
Yeah.
This belonged to my late husband, and recently I've handed the reins over to my son, who is one of the coolest 22-year-olds around, I have to say.
I was going to say. Oh wow! So he uses it.
He uses it, yes. It was a bit of a challenge to get it insured initially, but you know he's entrepreneurial and came up with a few plans to get it sorted. But yeah, he absolutely loves it, and it's really lovely to see him going out and enjoying it. The first time I saw him drive away in it, obviously as a 22-year-old in a very powerful rear-wheel drive car, no ABS, no power steering, none of the mod cons he's used to in his BM daily, and a very different car to drive. A little bit nervous, not going to lie.
Did your mothering instinct kick in? And
yeah, I followed him a couple of junctions at the M1.
did you?
But no, he's grown up around cars, and like all the family, he's dead passionate, and he's done a few things to fix various bits and improve things, make it slightly more pleasant and slightly safer drive. So I'm glad that I've kind of we've passed on that passion to him, and I know it's in good hands with him as well.
Yeah, so cool that Josh drives it at
Yes.
22 years old. How cool's that?
I've just got to get him down to a few more car shows at this side of the country, in it, and yeah, I'll be made up.
Yeah. I know I've said it before, but I think my favourite kinds of car caves are ones which combine aspirational cars that you've always wanted with stuff that really strikes a chord with your past. And what Adam and Ali have collected here is just such a great variety of vehicles. But the big question is, for you, the viewers, which car out of all of these is your favourite? I'd love you to tell me in the comments. I'd also like to hear from anyone who's got a car collection that you think would be of interest for a future car cave. It can be modern stuff, it can be old stuff, or it can be a whole mixing pot of everything. It can even be motorbikes and traction engines, to be completely honest. Anyway, if you want to support this channel via Patreon, there's a link in the description and you can go there, and for a few quid a month, you'll get early access to videos like this, but you also get blogs from me on a weekly basis about what's going on behind the scenes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.